Hi, my name is Thayer Long.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Colleton, and we're with the Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia. And we're here today to talk to you about the connection between climate change and sustainable gardening.
We're here at the Glen Carlin Community Garden here in lovely Arlington, Virginia, and we're going to talk to you today about water-wise gardening and what you can do to be a more water-conscious gardener. One of the impacts of climate change is the abundance of storms, of floods, of droughts, and that puts a lot of stress on our gardens. As gardeners, we have to train ourselves to be much more conscious of how we use water and making sure that we're using it in a very efficient way. We've got several techniques here that we use at the Glen Carlin Community Garden in order to help us be more water-conscious gardeners, and we're going to walk you through some of those right now.
Hi, so one of the techniques that we wanted to talk about today was the use of a cistern, which is a big container of water that you can use in your garden. And this is how it works. A cistern this size can capture up to 300 gallons of rainwater. All of us know that a big storm coming in dumps a lot of water on our gardens, and frankly, the garden may not be ready for that volume of water. The great thing about a cistern is that it captures rainwater off the roof, shunts it into a pipe, and stores it for you so that you can use it on your schedule. Furthermore, a cistern can be outfitted with numerous hoses so that you can have water going off in different directions depending on where your garden needs it. And you can even set up a timer so that you can set the watering to happen when you're away from the garden. So for those of us who don't have room for this cistern in our yards, here's another option for you, which is readily available through Arlington County and through the city of Alexandria. And this is called a rain barrel. And basically what this does is what the cistern does, but on a smaller scale. You hook it up to your downspout. The water comes in through the smaller pipe, and as it fills up, you can either fill the water directly into a watering can using this bottom spigot, or since it's threaded, you can attach a garden hose to it and redirect the water away from your house or whatever roof you have the rain barrel hooked up to. And so this accomplishes the same goal, which is capturing a lot of water that may come in the form of runoff and flooding during heavy storms caused by climate change, and allowing you to use it on your own schedule and in the amount that is good for your garden.
So when it comes to watering, there's a few things to remember. First of all, not all times of the day are equal when it comes to optimizing your watering. A lot of times I see people watering their gardens at the height of the day, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. That's really not a great practice if you're looking at conserving water. Best times to water are either in the early morning or in the late afternoon to minimize the evaporation, and also to make sure that the plant is able to absorb all the water that you're providing it. Secondly, is a good practice is to do less overhead watering, which means throwing a sprinkler on a garden, and kind of more direct to root watering. So that's where a watering can come in handy, but that's also where a soaker hose can come in handy, which is quite prevalent here in the community garden. The soaker hose, as you can see, runs throughout the garden. It releases the water on a slow drip. You can hook it up to your spigot or your rain barrel or your cistern, and it has that slow release of the water, which really allows the soil to maintain a nice constant moisture as well as nice temperature, which is very good for the plants and also very good for the environment.
So the next technique I wanted to talk to you about is the idea of using permeable walkways and pathways in your garden. The idea behind this is that, again, because of climate change, because of the strong, sometimes violent nature of the storms that we are getting in the Mid-Atlantic region, the water can come in so fast and furious that it just skates across the surface. It creates flooding, it creates erosion, which, depending on the time of the planting season, can be a real issue in your garden. It can wash away a lot of hard work. The thing that we recommend is actually to use permeable surfaces for walkways. So you see here, we're at the Glen Carlin Library Garden. We use the bricks, but we don't fill in the space between the bricks. That's just plain old dirt, which during a strong storm allows the water to percolate through that surface and in fact feed the ground underneath without rolling right off. Similarly, just the use of a shredded bark mulch for a pathway in your garden is another great alternative. It satisfies the need that we have to create that space, that walking space through a garden, but again, it allows the rain to just sort of gently percolate the surface. And both of these practices can do a lot to reduce the sudden runoff and erosion and flooding that can be induced by strong summer storms.
Probably one of the most overlooked techniques of how we as gardeners can be more water conscious is actually looking at the plants themselves and making sure that we're doing things like making sure that we're finding the right plant for the right place. So here at the Glen Carlin Community Garden, we're in an area of the garden that takes a lot of sun, especially during the heat of the day. So we're going to make sure that we're going to select plants appropriate for this type of condition. Similarly, in other areas of the garden, we have areas that are shade. And so again, we're going to select plants that are very tolerant of shade. That is going to impact the amount of water that is necessary to maintain a thriving plant. The second thing is we really encourage everybody to plant as many native plants as possible. Native plants offer a range of benefits, not least of which is they're the most adaptable to what the current climate and zone allows. So in our estimation, a native plant will be the most adaptable to whatever climate change is going to throw at us. Keep in mind that when planting new plants, a perennial requires special watering for about a year, shrubs for about 2 years, trees for about 3 years. But once established, they're going to do very well in a variety of conditions that the climate will bring. Last but not least, I think there's also techniques that we can take away from actually how you're planting your garden. And here's a great example of a good clustering of perennials and plants that not only look very beautiful, but because of their clustering, they're able to help shade each other's roots, which will again minimize evaporation and really help with moisture control and retention. So again, when you're thinking about being water conscious, think about the plants you're selecting, but also making sure that you're planting them in such a way that's going to promote good water conservation. We hope you found this video informative and helpful as you're considering how you can be more water conscious in your garden.
And there's a lot more information on sustainable gardening practices on our website at mgnv.org. And we hope you'll check out those resources and learn how to combat climate change in your gardening, whether you have a big garden like this, or a patio garden, or just a regular backyard in Arlington and Alexandria. Happy gardening, and we'll see you next time.